Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Game, the podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Smith, and today's guest is Isaiah McClenton. And Isaiah's going to tell us a little bit about himself.
So, my name is Isaiah McClenton. I'm a freshman, class of 2027. I attend Berkmont High School. I play the point guard, shooting guard, and I've been playing basketball my whole life. I just really enjoy it. It's just my love. I found my passion for it, really from my dad, and it's just a generational thing.
So, with that being said, now that you're a freshman, can you tell me if there's any differences you've noticed from going to middle school to high school?
Honestly, it's a big difference. Just from the little things, the big things, just small details, coaching, players, everything is really it's just a different environment that you have to adapt to fast. I wouldn't say fast, but you have to adapt to in order to be successful. Just from the crowd. Well, the crowd, honestly, my middle school, the crowds used to be crazy every game. But other than that, defense wise, sharing the ball, you gotta share the ball way more once you get to high school level because coming in as a freshman, you're not gonna be the main option as you were in middle school. So it's really you just have to adapt to your coaching staff and the players around you. And once you get used to it, it's just gonna keep getting easier and easier. Once you get used to the flow of the game and how fast it moves from middle school and the better on-ball defenders and stronger players than what you were facing in middle school, you'll be all right because it's if you pick it up as a freshman, the next 3 years of your high school career is just going to be like a breeze because you picked it up so fast. And it's you really have to work, but you don't have to work as much because you picked it up faster than the other freshmen.
So, what do you think was the biggest transition coming into high school? Because you said, you're not always the option, and maybe in middle school you were always the option. So what do you think was the most difficult thing to adjust to coming in as a freshman?
Really, the most difficult thing to me was just the play style, because me myself, I would say I've always been an up-tempo player and playing at my pace, but it's really just the play style, the way my coaching staff is, it's never just one player just comes down, no passes, and just shoots the ball. We have to move the ball around, run a play, work as a team. And then another big thing was defense. The difference in defense. Middle school defense was easy to play because it's some kids were good, some kids were bad. High school is every kid can play. So it's you're gonna have to know every rotation if your team runs zone. And then if you run man, you're going to have to guard whoever you have to guard. If you get switched onto a big man, you're going to have to be able to guard a big man. If you get switched onto a guard, you're going to have to be able to stay in front of the guard and play defense. So the biggest thing would be really just the play style and the pace and play style.
Okay, so has there been any one teammate or all your teammates that's made the transition easier? Because your coach told me you play for the 9th grade team, the JV team, and the varsity team. So I know that's a lot of different plays and a lot of different things that you have to learn. So has there been any players or a player that really helped you navigate what to do on the court?
Honestly, it's just been a all-together thing. Just starting in practice with the coaching staff just pushing me because they see my potential and they see where I can be, just pushing me to do what they know I can do, and just the players as well. Because the moment I stepped foot, it was just everybody just knew me already. We already had a bond, chemistry, and later into the season, where we're traveling together, going out, team bonding, it just got tighter, and it's they just made it easier in practice, like by pushing me because they know like once I get in the game, that's what's gonna happen. Like what they're doing to
Mm.
me in practice is gonna make me be better in the game because I'm already going through it in practice. So when I go through it in the game, it gets easier. So it's really just an all around thing, like starting with the coaching staff and the players. They all just pushed me to be the best I can be to make it easier when I need to get in the game and when I need to play my role.
So, staying on the topic of you adjusting to the new environment, how has it been going from being in middle school, balancing being a student and an athlete, to going to high school? Because we know high school is a whole different level. There's a lot more things that you have to learn in the classroom. So, how have you been able to balance being a student athlete as a freshman?
Honestly, I've always been the kid to do my work. Like I've always been student first, athlete second. But it's really like the school Berkmar is just like it's a great school like all around. Like aside from sports, like the moment I was enrolled at Berkmar, like it just felt like I've been there before. Like I've already been there. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
just the principals, the teachers in the classrooms, they just make it easy. Like they just make you feel like they know you on
Okay.
a
Mm-hmm.
beside from a school level. Like the teachers in the classroom are very understanding. Like if we miss school because we're out of town or something, they'll let you remake it up. And like it's just I wouldn't say honestly, I would probably say high school is much easier than middle school for me at this school because it's like they just make it easy to where it's not too much on me because like
Mm-hmm.
you said I play all three, so they're knowing I'm already tired sometimes, worn out, so they just make it easy on me to where it's not too much work and too much of an overload at one time.
So, with that being said, do you on the court feel any pressure? Because since you are this high level athletes that coaches, they know you're a freshman, but they expect so much from you. Is there any pressure you feel with doing day to day things?
um Honestly, pressure, it's not too much pressure because it's like my dad's been so hard on me like throughout my life where it's like pressure is normal, like pressure is a good
Mm-hmm.
thing. If coaches are putting pressure on you and your teammates are putting pressure on you, it just means they know how much you can contribute and like how much potential you have. Like if a coach isn't putting pressure on you, then you should be worried. But if your coaches are pressuring you as a freshman on a varsity level to where they want you to do things and they know you can do the things, then
Mm-hmm.
it's really like pressure is a good thing if you ask me, because it's like it shows that they care and it shows like they want you to get better so you can be successful.
So, a lot of the time I've heard you say your dad helped you a lot. So, do you think that your dad prepared you for these moments that you've been having being a freshman in high school?
Honestly, yes, because it's like my dad's just so hard on me because he played before and he done everything that I wanted to do. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like even before I even stepped foot in high school, my dad worked me out. My dad worked me out from week to week, and it's like he would never let me quit. So my first week I enrolled at Berkmar, we was going through conditioning, and we was
Mm-hmm.
outside on the track all day, didn't touch a single ball. So it's like me knowing that my dad didn't allow me to quit while we were working out, and I know I'm tired, I know I'm on my last breath. Me knowing that my dad just pushed me and pushed me is just like clicking in my head, like I can't quit no more. Like I just gotta
Mm-hmm.
keep pushing, I gotta keep going no matter what. Like if this is gonna get me to where I need to go in the long run, I'm willing to do it no matter what. So it's really just like my dad being hard on me. It gets tough sometimes because it's like I'm hearing it from my coach, my dad, uncles, other coaches. Like it gets hard sometimes, but really I just use it as motivation to like push me like even more because like if everybody's pushing me and everybody knows what I'm capable of, then it's just like motivation. Like it's all gonna go away one day. It's
Mhm.
like if I get it done and get it done and get it done, it's all gonna go away one day. So it's like I just use it as motivation and just like make me go hard. It just makes me go harder.
I feel like when you said that when you get all the pressure and you feel the walls caving in a little bit, like you start to hear the voices of everybody telling you that you need to do this or you need to do that, or it's just an endless cycle of that kind of thing. And you say you use it as motivation, and I feel like that's really good as a freshman for you to already have that mindset that they're only doing it for you to get better is really good because a lot of people going into their freshman year, they want to be on top. They may have been the best player at their middle school and thinking that they're going to go to high school and just dominate, start varsity, and everything's going to be a walk in the park. And for you to just talk about how you know there's going to be people telling you what to do, and it's just because they want you to be the best you that you could possibly be. I think that's very important for other people to hear because not a lot of people your age or even older than you really understand that concept. So I think that was really good for you to say. With that being said, how do you think, because I know your season is getting closer towards the end, how do you think your basketball IQ has grown from when you first started until now?
Um, Honestly, my basketball IQ, I feel like it's grown, but like I feel like it's still room for improvement. Like later on in the
Mm-hmm.
years, but it's really like it's just my coach is so strict on details, to where it's like details are the most important things. Like if you don't have details, you can't have a big play. Like
Mm-hmm.
without details, you can't make a home run play without details. So it's like IQ, like it's just making me think harder on like smarter shots, better passes, like when to reach, when to not, who to pressure, who to not pressure, who to who to step out on the 3 point line, who not to step out on the 3 point line. So I feel like it's just making me smarter as a player to like understand like the game better and like really like because basketball is mind games. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
like if you have a higher IQ and like a better understanding on basketball and the people you are playing against, I feel like your IQ would be great because it's like you're playing mind games and you know what they're gonna do, and it's like you're just smarter in general. So
So do you guys do a lot of like scout work? Because I know some schools have access to like synergy and that kind of stuff. So is that something that you guys focus a lot on?
scouting, that's a big thing in our program. Like our coach is great at that. Like our coach is day in and day out of scouting, like all
Mm-hmm.
day, every day, just scouting on. Like we have scouting reports before every game, like every player, every starter, every player on the bench, like what they're good at, what they're not good at, how to play them, how to not play them. So I feel like scouting, that's a big thing in our program because it's like we watch film every day, most like every other day or every day. And film is like we're all just there watching the game, showing and telling what we need to do. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
like our coaches will do the same thing. But it's like it's our players, we do it by ourselves, and then our coaches do it, and then we do it together. So it's like we all have our own feedback on like what we think will make us win more and play better against
So
our
that's
opponents.
good. So you guys like you do a players one and then you guys like write notes down and then you do one with the coaches and then everybody comes together and like compares notes and stuff like that. That's what you
Yeah.
guys do? Okay, that's pretty I don't know many high schools that do that. So that's you guys are ahead of a lot of high schools. But you talked a little bit about high school basketball being more of a fast paced game than it was in middle school. And being that you're on the three teams that you're on, was there ever a moment where when you were in the game you had an aha moment of like, I finally figured it out, like I'm finally catching up and learning the system?
So we took a trip to Washington D.C. and we played two top ESPN teams, top 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in the game, the second game. I got in the game both games, but the aha moment was the second game for sure. I got in the game and I did really well actually, and like they're top 20 in the nation with everybody.
Mhm.
So I came in and I think I was in the game for 5 minutes because it was a real close game. It was a real great team. So
Mhm.
I got in the game for 5 minutes, I think, and at the end of the game, I had 5 rebounds, I think, or 3 rebounds, one steal, 4 points, and I don't remember the exact stats, but I
Mhm.
just remember it was just like me going against a top 20 team in the nation as a freshman, and in the short amount of time I played, doing what I did, and like me not being uncomfortable, like I felt comfortable, like I felt like I knew what I was doing, and I knew
Mhm.
that the countless hours I put in working, like paid off, and it's like okay, I understand the game now, and it's like I understand the flow of the game and like how the game is and like top 20 team in the nation. I'm like, okay, so if they're the top 20 team in the nation and they're doing this, this is what I have to do,
Mhm.
and this is what we have to do to be a top 20 team in the nation in the future.
Okay, and with that, being that you just said you didn't play much, but you probably play a lot on the freshman team, how have you been able to manage like the hunger and the mentality of still working as hard as you can on the varsity team, although you're not playing as much right now?
The hunger is really just like waiting my turn because like everybody has a turn and like I feel like my turn could be now, but it's like it's everything's meant to be. So it's like
Mhm.
everything's gonna fall in place when it needs to be falling in place. But it's like I'm just hungry. Like I just want it all. I just want it all. Like and I want it all for me and I want it all for my team. Like I want us to win everything. Like I don't ever want us to lose. Like losing is not a good feeling, especially when we put in
For sure.
countless hours and countless days of working, working, working. But like we just use losing as more motivation. Like I said earlier, like
Mhm.
we took a hard loss yesterday, but we have another game tomorrow. We're gonna bounce back even harder. So
Another opportunity.
it's really just like opportunities, like you just said.
So do you think um so what are some of the goals that you may have set in the beginning of your freshman year that you think you've accomplished or are getting closer as the season comes to an end?
Goals. Uh, I really just like self goals. I didn't really set goals like honestly like real goals, but like self goals I thought to myself about was I just wanted to I just wanted to be comfortable and like feel the flow of the game better to where like it's like not like I'm uncomfortable anymore like
Mhm.
to where I come in the game and won't have a turnover and just feel comfortable like handling the ball on a varsity level and like shooting my confident shots on a varsity level because
Mhm.
I feel like I feel like just being confident like on a varsity level. I feel like that was one of my big goals, like crowd wise, because I know like we have a tough region crowd wise. So it's like just crowd wise, just being like everything, just being comfortable at a varsity
Mhm.
level to where it's like I'm not uncomfortable, to where I'm not doing dumb things when I get in the game, and I'm doing the right thing, playing the right way when I get in the game.
So you talk about not doing dumb things in the game. How do you how have you been able to, because you're going to make mistakes, you're a freshman and you know that, your coaches know that. How have you been able to handle those mistakes when you've made them? Like, have you been able to just push forward and know that, okay, next play, I just made a mistake, it's okay, get it back to next play?
Honestly, that's just another thing about like the program wise. Like, it's like when I make a mistake, it would be like they'll talk to me about it, and like they'll ask me like, "What did I see?" So it's just not like from their standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like we're like just together, like to see what we both seen from both of our point of views, to see why I made the mistake, how I made
Mm-hmm.
the mistake, and how I can fix the mistake.
So you said, we talked a lot and you've said a lot about the school and how the team and the coaches are very, you guys seem very together. You guys seem very well rounded. Um, in the sense of you're not trying to break people down. You're trying to build them up and allow them to grow and learn in the sport. So I want to ask you, do you think because your coaches are allowing you to make these mistakes and instead of saying like, oh, you need to get out of the game because this is not what we do, they're actually having a conversation with you and talking to you. Do you think that's what allowed you to be confident in the on varsity? Because I know you said that was one of your goals that you set to yourself. So do you feel like because they gave you the space to make those mistakes, it allowed you to be confident when you're on the court?
That plays a role in being confident because it's like I know that if I make a mistake, they're not gonna yell and scream at me and just like take me out the game for no reason. But it's like if I make a mistake, they'll take me out the game and talk to me and then just send me right back in just to see like where we're at. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like that plays a role.
So let's talk about thinking toward the future. You know, you're just a freshman, so you still have 3 more years ahead of you. So what are some goals you have set that you would like to accomplish by your senior year, or what are some things you've thought about that you want to work toward for your senior year?
Honestly, like I said earlier, I'm hungry and I want it all. So
Mm-hmm.
really, goals for my senior year, I have so many. Like I'll share a little. By my senior year, I at least want to have 2 region player of the years, and by my senior year, I want to be best player in the state player of the year, Gatorade player of the year. I know my dad was one, so that's one I want to accomplish. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be a McDonald's All American. My dad was one as well. So it's like really just I want to accomplish everything my dad did, but more. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like everything that I'm doing now, the countless hours, like it's just working towards the future so I can better myself so I can accomplish all of my goals. Like it's just so many, like I said, I can't even name them all, but those are just a couple.
That's good to have goals because once you have goals, you have something to work towards, which you've been doing already. And so, with that being said, if you could go to any school for college, what school would it be?
Any school in college, what school would it be? Honestly, I have a top 3 right now, but my number one on my top 3 would have to be North Carolina.
Really?
Let's see.
I
Yeah.
used to love that school back in like, I think it was 2018 or something. They had crazy players on that team. But so explain to us why that would be like the top school you'd want to go to.
Honestly, it's really the atmosphere and like the history.
Mhm.
Like I would just love to play in an atmosphere Carolina versus Duke
Mhm.
at Carolina. Like it's just the play style. I feel like it fits me, and it's room to improve for me to like because my play style isn't set now. Like
Mhm.
it's so much more I need to work on and like get better at. So like my play style could be set, but UNC is just like all around a great environment. I heard great things about UNC. I feel like the coaching staff is great. The way they coach their kids, like the same thing. Like I feel
Mhm.
like it's a freshman there right now that's going through the same thing I'm going through right now. And like I feel like the coaching staff is dealing with him the same way I'm being dealt with. So it's really just like just similarities, like
Mhm.
and I feel like I'll feel comfortable there because it's like something I always dreamed about. Like UNC is like probably one of my schools I've been dreaming about for a long time. So I feel like it's just similarities and like comfortability, and like I just feel like the environment would be great to play in and experience.
So, on that topic, I know you're a freshman, but are you already going a little bit through the recruiting process, or are you still waiting to start that?
I'm being recruited a little bit by some colleges. Like I didn't play AAU much last this summer coming up, but
Mm-hmm.
I played one tournament during the live period, and I had some college coaches come out and watch me play at one of my games, and I feel like that is just like that motivates me even more too,
Mhm.
because like as a freshman, college coaches are coming out to watch you play, calling your parents and everything else. I feel like it's just more because like I want to have every offer I can have by my senior year, so I can have options. But it's like it's just a cool thing to experience as a freshman because most freshmen don't get to experience college coaches
Mhm.
being at their games and like they're them calling their your parents and like the recruiting process. So I feel like I'm going through it a little bit, but not as much as I want to. But it's a cool thing right now to have like the phone calls and the Metro games and everything else.
So, does the idea of being recruited and wanting all these schools to recruit you, does that does that kind of do anything to you like mentally? Because I know we talked about pressure and how you use it as motivation, but recruiting is a different ball game because recruiting is setting you up for the future. It's setting you up for the next 4 years after you after you leave high school. So, have you felt any pressure as a freshman with just wanting all the attention and all the potential colleges to see you? Have you felt any pressure from that?
Um, Honestly, it's really pressure. It's not as much pressure, but it's pressure because it's like I'm a freshman and like I'm not gonna play good every game and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna have 30 points every game. But it's like the pressure part comes when you're playing and they're courtside and it's like, what if I do something he doesn't like? And what if I do something that he doesn't like the way that I do it? Or I take a bad shot and he walks away. And it's just like, it's really just like, you just really got to stay out of your head. Like, I learned how to stay out of my head because it's like, if you're thinking like that, then you're going to have a bad game. Like, but if you're just having fun, doing what you do, doing what you know you worked on, then it's really like, it should really be no pressure because if you're working and doing what you need to do and putting in the countless hours, it's really like there should be no pressure because it's natural. It's a natural instinct to you. You do it
Mm-hmm.
all the time. So that's why I feel like it's a little bit of pressure because like it's just I'm young, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's not that much pressure because I know that I'm working on what I need to work on to be able to showcase in front of the coaches.
So I want to talk about just your support system. I know that when we were um, recording earlier this week or last week, your mom and your sister were there. So how big has the support from your family been in the process of you chasing greatness?
The support, like I can't even explain. Like ever since I started, like, and it's not even just basketball. I play so many other sports, and it's like my dad's a basketball guy and a tennis guy, so it's like even when I played soccer for conditioning during my middle school year, and it's like even though he never played soccer, but he was
Mm-hmm.
at every game. My mom was at every game. My brother, my sister. So it's really like the support is really just unconditional, and like I really enjoy it because when you're playing and say I'm having a bad game and I look into the stands and I see my family there, and it's like it's just motivation because I know once I make it, I'm gonna give them whatever they want, and I'm willing to do that, and I'm willing to work for that because they've put in the countless hours, drive me to practice every day, pick me up from school, take me to the gym late nights
Mm-hmm.
to get shots up, early mornings, pay for AAU plane flights, all of this.
Yeah,
So it's
those
like
AAU games
I just
expensive.
wanna I just want to be able to like pay them back one day, like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really my main thing. Like I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for them. Those are really my main two. Those are really my main two like motivation. Like them and me is like the biggest thing in playing a part in like my success.
And so, with that being said you played soccer and you've done a lot of other sports. And being in the fire as a freshman and trying to figure it out, are there other things that you do outside of basketball to kind of maintain the composure and to be able to go to every practice and every game and show up 100%?
Um, I do recover a lot, and it's really like off season. Off season, I'm still working because like I'm not working as much as I'm working every day like during the season. But off
Mm-hmm.
season is a big part because off season some kids tend to like AAU because AAU is really just you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you have to be conditioned to play basketball and you have to be conditioned to do anything. So it's like really just conditioning during the off season, keeping your body right, like just not being unconditioned and like just taking care of your body is a big part. But I know I play soccer for conditioning because there was a lot of running, and I play tennis for like footwork and lateral
Mm-hmm.
movements. So it's really just everything plays a part, and just like everything comes back to basketball. So that's how I feel.
So with that, let's just take a little sidebar. If you weren't playing basketball, what sport would you be playing?
That's a great question. If I wasn't playing basketball, uh, I would probably play. I would probably play tennis.
Okay.
People don't
Why
know that,
tennis?
but I'm
Yeah,
really
I
good at
didn't know that.
tennis.
Okay. Hmm. Everybody, y'all know now. He'll get y'all on the tennis court too. All right. All right. So, one final question, and then we'll wrap it up. What would you tell incoming freshmen from your experience alone, and being that the season is wrapping up and so is school? What would your advice be for incoming freshmen that are wanting to play basketball?
Um, it's really just about like I would tell them. It's really just about work. Like you really have to work because like middle school, I know I went to a good middle school where like my coach pushed me and he knew what I needed to do to be able to
Mm-hmm.
play at a high school level. So it's really just like if you don't have that, it's really just about yourself. Like what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to be able to get what you want to get later in
Mm-hmm.
life, which is playing at a high school level? And it's really just about adapting. Like, don't go into your high school thinking you're just gonna, like you said earlier, just start varsity as soon as you step foot. Like, unless you're 7 feet, like,
Yeah.
there's no really, it's not really a chance of that unless you're just like really good. But it's like, it's really just about adapting and just allowing to listen, like being coachable. Like if you're not coachable going into high school, then it's really like you're taking steps back
Mm-hmm.
because if you're not coachable going into high school, like it's really no point because coaching is the main thing going into high school. You got to be able to listen to your coaches and take what they're giving you because they've been doing this for a long time and like they know what they're talking about. And if you're willing to learn, I feel like you will be okay if you're willing to learn.
Okay. And with that being said, I think that's a good spot to end. That was very insightful. And I just want to thank you for being a part of this podcast. A lot of the stuff you said will be really useful for younger kids that are looking to start playing basketball when they get to high school. So I want to thank you so much for being on this episode. And that wraps up another episode of Beyond the Game, the podcast.